Hi everyone, Christina Werner here. Welcome to another video for SimonsStamp.com. Today I'm going to be using the Cosmos Bloom background stamp, and I'm going to be doing some fun watercoloring with Caron markers. These are some new markers that are in the Simon store, and I thought I would show you how you can use them for watercoloring. So I'm taking that background stamp and I'm stamping it in VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which is a waterproof ink, onto some Arches cold press watercolor paper. And I stamped this background 3 times so that I could get as good of an impression as possible on this very textured paper. Arches cold press paper is beautiful and luscious and just nice and thick, but it is very textured. So here are the colors of markers I'm using today. This is their Brush Marker Pro, and these have liquid watercolor in the barrel of the markers, so you can actually see how much liquid watercolor you have left. These are fairly new to me. I've done some lettering with them and a few little watercolor projects, but today I thought I would really break these out and try watercoloring with them. I'm first going to try these with an ink smushing technique where I have the colors on a slick surface, just kind of all spread out, and then I'm going to take a spray bottle. This is a distress sprayer from Tim Holtz, and I'm wetting down this entire area so it's nice and liquid. And then I'm going to press my watercolor panel onto the color. I'm going to smush it around a little bit, wiggle it, and then lift it up. And I'm going to get a very organic kind of mix of color going all the way across this piece here. Have a little bit of some gray happening, so I did use a paper towel to sop that up. And then for any dry corners or dry spots, I just pounce that into the water droplets of color on my work surface. Cleaned up my work surface and then used a heat tool to speed along the drying process. You definitely don't need to use a heat tool for this. I was just impatient. So now here's where the really fun watercoloring comes in. Taking a darker blue marker, I think this is sapphire blue, and then just a water brush, and you can see how well that color spreads out from where I've drawn with the marker. Got a little even more adventurous and added more color, and I loved the depth that I could get with this blue shade and how transparent it is over the colors that are already there. I used the same magenta shade over the pink area, and for the most part, I didn't have any sort of plan for what color to make these flowers. I just kind of went with whatever color ended up when I did the ink smushing. And for these 2 flowers, it was more pink on one and more blue on the other. And then for the other flowers, I added this amber shade, which is sort of like a golden yellow orange. And that flower was mostly yellow, so I thought I would put this color in the center of the flower and kind of use my water brush to spread that out. And then I added a purple. I thought it needed just another kind of more intense shade, and so I added this really purple blue shade, and you can see how transparent that is over the color that's already there. This process was very, very fast. If I was to be using regular watercolors for this, I think I probably would have been painting quite a bit longer, but this moved very, very quickly. I was also doing very loose watercolor. I wasn't being super precise. I just wanted to have fun with these markers. I then took that sapphire blue shade and I filled in the gaps that were around the flowers and leaves, just to add some darker shade in there. I almost thought about just leaving it, but I really liked the contrast between the lighter tips of the petals and this darker background shade. I thought it really made the flowers pop and stand out. You could also just take a black marker and fill that in, but I liked the kind of variation in color when I used the blue marker. Took a white gel pen and filled in the centers of those flowers, and it really helps that white be vibrant on top of that color. Now using the U to Best die set, this is from Simon and CZ Design from Kathy Zilski, and I used some vellum and also white cardstock to die cut both of these die cuts here. I'm going to set those aside for a little bit while I cut the actual watercolor panel. You notice I only painted about 3/4 of the panel. That's because I plan to use a die. This is one of the A7 layer dies from Waffle Flower, and I'm going to be making an A7 or 5x7 card, so that's why I use that die. Some of you have asked why I have this grid paper in my cutting sandwich, and this is why. Sometimes when you're die cutting, painting, or coloring things like that, some of the color can kind of get smushed onto whatever's on the other side of it. So I use some grid paper to protect all of my plates in my cutting sandwich. Took some white cardstock. This is Neenah Solar White, and this is the 110-pound version. And I cut that to be a 5x7 card base and scored that at 5 inches. I then adhered my watercolor panel using some foam adhesive. And then I took some Gina K Connect glue and glued the white Uda Best die cut on top of that vellum shadow die cut. And then I'm going to put some more adhesive on the back of this adhered piece. And because I put that white die cut on top, now I can hide the adhesive on the back of this vellum. And then I shouldn't have any trouble adhering it to my card. I'm going to pounce this on some scratch white paper to the side just to get rid of any excess glue that might squidge out from underneath. And then I place that directly onto the card. So that finishes the card for today. I had a blast using these markers from Caran Markers. I think they're fantastic. The color spreads brilliantly. The colors are vibrant. I had a lot of fun using these markers, and I highly recommend them. I think they're definitely worth taking a second look at. Thank you so much for watching today. Just a reminder that all of the supplies that I used today are listed down below with links to Simus' Stamp where you can purchase them. And I've got 3 more videos on screen for you to check out. Don't forget to subscribe and also hit that thumbs up button that lets me know you like this video. And I will see you guys very soon with another card video.